Okay, we start our session today with recitation of Ummul Kitab Al-Fatihah. Okay, in the last session we talked about numbers of opening. All of this we learn about this is reti, this is a dance, flank, and so on. So numbers of opening that we learn, and in particular we look for what we call London system. What is London? Mana London? What is London? London N24, double queen pawn, and London system. In particular, we look at this system. And also we see that no matter how good is your opening preparation or opening knowledge, if you make mistake, especially in tactic like what Kur and Aisyah did in opening, so they are no use lah. You will just lost like that lah, no matter how good is your knowledge in opening. So be aware. Opening, yes, you need to be know a little bit about opening, the principle of the opening, but more importantly, don't make mistake like a blunder in the opening, because that can cost you a game. But even though that, saying that, it doesn't mean that if you make a mistake in the opening, is straight away lost. Because if, as we look in the Khalid game, even though now here the black make a mistake giving the knight for free, still black is able to win because of this counterplay. Okay, the white cannot not be able to find the correct response for black lah. So so we know that you cannot blunder in the opening, but also be aware that even though your opponent make blunder, be aware about this counterplay thing. Okay, in spirit of the counterplay, we learn also about the gambit. We all learn about the gambit. The most popular one is, of course, the queen gambit. So the queen gambit. So this is basically the queen gambit. And we say the gambit basically offering something to gain time. In this case, even though we call as a queen gambit, but this pawn is not really a gambit pawn, because you can always get back this pawn by playing this a4, and then if you take, then you compromise the structure and easy to take all this pawn in the red square here. Even if you what we call protect, then you can just take because of the pin, and then if you protect with the c, you can just take, and then queen f3, you get the what we call the rook there. So it's not really a gambit, and in fact you can just take this pawn straight away by playing this queen to a4. Nevertheless, in queen gambit, most of the time the black doesn't really take this pawn anyway. So yeah, even though the name is queen gambit, it's not really a gambit here. We talk a little bit about the king gambit. Okay, we talk about king gambit, which is a very fashionable long time ago. We talk about this e4, e5, and f4. We talk about this, the king gambit. Nowadays, it's very hard to see this played in the top tournament or even in the amateur level lah, because of this weakness of the square. If you go to the reference here, let it pull from the data from the database, we can see in terms of popularity. If I may put here, let it gather all data first. Okay, so if you see the what we call this thing, the graph, if you can see the graph here, the popularity of the king gambit start around 19 something. We call this as a romantic era of the chess, meaning that all players, they like to attack. So there are no like systematic defense or systematic play. The play is just attack and so on. So in early 90s, 1900, yeah, that is very popular gambit. But going down after this 1927, this is where the Capablanca, Alekhine, and so on coming in, where they what we call start to introduce this positional chess to the world. So starting from there, they are decrease in the popularity of the king gambits. Yeah, okay. In fact, in 1950 something, Bobby Fischer, one of the world champion, they write an article called "A Bus to King Gambit." So this thing, "A Bus to King Gambit" by US champion, so also is a world champion lah. So this article is quite famous at that time. So in this short article, you can find it you just Google it, "A Bus to King Gambit," and just you can read it. So it Fischer argue that the King Gambit is busted, meaning that if you play white, you play King Gambit, then you lost. So that's what Fischer claimed lah. So if you look here, the King Gambit has lost popularity but not sympathy. Blah blah blah, whatever. Okay, so here. To the public, the player of King Gambit exhibit courage and daring go. The Gambit has been making a comeback with the younger Soviet master, Spassky, and so on. At the end of the day, Fischer write, the refutation of any Gambit begin with accepting it. Normally, when you play Gambit, when people give something for free, the way to sort of like to play against that, people say just take that free thing and let your opponent show is this free thing is good enough, or giving that free thing is good enough or not. So that's the, and here Fischer said the refutation of any Gambit begin by accepting it. In my opinion, is King Gambit is busted, is lost by force. This is what Fischer said. What Fischer said. So let's see a little bit about what have been written in this article. So let me open this thing. Let me go to here. Okay, let me go highlightation here. So it's much easier, and let me make it standard layout first. So yeah, so this basically what I want to show you is basically some of the gist from that article that I just show you about King Gambit, but not detail lah, just give it the idea. So as I said in the last class, one of the idea of this King Gambit is basically the immediate attack on this, what we call, on this f7, because normally the king want to, what we call, castle here, and then when the rook is here, so it can attack here when you take lah. If let's say black take this thing, and the white can open and then take the pawn, and then after castling, everything will be pointed into this f7. So that's why early players like to play King Gambit, just attack. So one of the idea that I show last class is this Muzio Gambit, Muzio variation in King Gambit, which is this thing. So you take, give again, take, give again, interpose, and checkmate, like that. Okay, so this one of the idea of King Gambit, just attack. Okay, but in the main line is basically this thing. This is the main line for King Gambit lah. If you are never learn about King Gambit, you might say, wow, this is quite daring lah, going black play this g5, but this g5 is quite safe there. In fact, if let's say if white give this pawn for free, if let's say white is able to take this pawn, then we can see that white initiative is so strong, because not only he get a pawn back, it also have this what we call this half open file for the rook after the castling. So that's why black, when black face the King Gambit, if black accept the gambit by taking this thing, by taking the pawn, normally black will do whatever it can to protect this pawn, because by protecting this pawn, white force is quite hindered lah, especially for this bishop cannot go out very well lah. So in general, the main line for King Gambit is g5, but Fischer in that article, the one that I show you just now, A Bus to King Gambit, recommend this d6. Okay, this d6, Fischer called this as high class waiting move. Okay, in order to understand this, let's see about the main line first. This is the main line. Okay, so basically Fischer wrote this article after he lost against Spassky, whatever, in this in one tournament. So this main line, normally white play h4. Okay, you might say that, wow, this h4 even weaken this king side, but if black take, let's say if black take like this, this what we call, not only this pawn will become weakened again, this also become weakened, is already under attack by this two thing, and this queen also cannot go to here to f4 to check this king. So it's like what we call, when we see our queen gambit, remember queen gambit before, when we do like this, in the queen gambit, when we play like this, often, if let's say if black try to preserve this pawn by playing this b5, we will see in queen gambit also, you play a4, but in this position normally we don't really care much, because this is not king side, there are no king here, so king castle here, so it's safe lah, it's safe over here. But in king gambit, it's other way around. In king gambit, if you see that here, same idea, but still valid, okay, because what we call, because of the pawn structure for the black is already shattered. So let's see the main line. Normally they push in front, and this is normally what white play. It goes to the e5 in order to take back this pawn, because this pawn is basically what we call is undefended. You want to take this pawn. So white what we call black defend this pawn, and then now you can see the idea behind white gambit lah, the king gambit idea. White try to occupy the center as soon as possible, as fast as possible, and try to open up all this thing, all the bishop, all the knight, and then all the knight here, not there, and then later on open the bishop there, and followed by castling, and then boom, everything here will be weakened. Okay, so in this case, black at this position, black play d6 in order to what we call, to dislodge this knight, and knight go back. Okay, because now this pawn is already protected by this what we call, by this bishop. So now knight take, and then bishop take, and then bishop g7, and at this stage normally the main line is to play and c3, but Fischer recommend the c3 lah, the c3, and then what black can play this to exploit this, what we call, the pin, and then white break the pin, and then play like that, and then play like this and this. And this is the idea of the king gambit, the typical position in king gambit. As you can see, is like it's more like tactical opening. The piece fly here and there and so on. If you are not really used in what we call in king gambit, in tactical play, if you are a positional player, normally you don't like this this position. You like the position that is calm, that is sort of like positional. But early players, they like this sort of like tactical and crazy opening like this. Okay, so that is the idea behind the king gambits lah, the typical idea in king gambits. So here, so the normal idea is to what we call, to play g5. Okay, this is what we call key variation. This is the main line, but also they also position that black play this, what we call, the modest move, h6. This is called as a Berlin defense in king gambit. Okay, whenever you heard about Berlin, normally Berlin variation associated with the another opening called Rai Lopez lah. Normally Berlin, when you heard when in the article, whatever article out there, when they talk about the Berlin defense, they talk about this defense lah. They play Rai Lopez, and then instead of playing this, they play this thing. So this is Berlin defense. So you do like this, and then you take, and then you do like this, and then you do like this, and then you take, and then you take, and then you take like this, you take like this, and then you take this, and then you take apa ni? Ayolah, makan. Take this, and then take this, and then this thing. So this basically Berlin defense. When you heard about the Berlin defense, is normally come from this this opening, not king gambit opening, but this what we call this Rai Lopez opening. Okay, So the idea in Berlin is basically not the idea, meaning that if you look in the Berlin, black accept this double pound, but he also got this what we call the bishop pair. Although now the black king also cannot castle and also have this double pound. The position now nearing the end game, so black argue that this position is defendable and so on. Without queen on the board, it's very difficult to exploit this king position lah. So the game is more towards the endgame territory. In fact, this Berlin defense become so famous in 2000 because at that moment where the Kasparov is defeated using the what we call the if you look here, if you look in this what we call in this world champion list in our what we call in our macam nak besarkan okay, in this world champion list you see the Kasparov. Most of you maybe heard about the Kasparov. The Kasparov beaten by the Kramnik in 2000 and at this during their match, Kramnik used Berlin defense and Kasparov never what we call be able to win against the Berlin, because remember if you look at so if you look Kasparov normally when you look game by Kasparov normally is characterized by this attacking and very dynamic play. But Kramnik is normally a positional player, end-game player, and so on. So Kramnik tried to bring Kasparov into his territory. I mean that he know that Kasparov like to attack. So Kramnik basically he bring the game so that it reach this position. Okay. So in this position, Kasparov even as a white, he cannot really launch effective attacks because they are already end-game. So that is the plan, that the opening plan by the Kramnik team, because when you play in the high tournament, you are not alone, you are with the team. So Kramnik team come with the idea that yes, we don't play in Kasparov territory, which is dynamic game and so on. Just go to the end game. So Berlin is one of the one of the opening that can force this queenless middle game, we can say middle game or end game, and true enough that Kasparov cannot win a single game. I mean that cannot win doesn't mean lose, draw lah. Cannot win a single game against the Berlin when he played with the Kramnik in 2000, and then Kramnik goes with the winning the one game, and then he is crowned as a world champion after the Kasparov lah. And then you have Anand and then you have Carlsen. Nowadays is Carlsen. So the Berlin defense is famous about because of this. But when I talk about Berlin defense in King Gambit, it's basically this. It's basically this thing. Okay, so this is Berlin defense in King Gambit. And then the play may continue like this and then go like this. It's often black want to preserve this, as I said, because once this pawn is gone, then it's very easy for white to gain initiative. And then white, as usual, normally white will always play this thing h5 because he must compromise this structure. He must compromise this black structure, because if not, then this bishop have not really any use lah. And also, even if a white able to castle later on, this file will be closed. So that's why, regardless whatever the opening in King Gambit, you almost always see that white will play h4. Okay, for those who are what we call a new player here, like Kur and Aisha and so on, maybe this explanation about the opening theory maybe bored you, making you like feeling bored. But this is necessary for if you want to go at a higher level lah. Because I also need to target those who already know something about the chess opening, like Faiz, like Ottoman and so on, like the one that already have basic in opening. So I need to cater them also. So yeah, I cannot just go like a basic, give a general idea about the opening, like control the center, develop the piece. I also need to during coaching, I also need to give this like concrete lines, the very specific opening. This what I show here is not deep enough. This year I don't go really deep. It's just a surface. This is still a surface, even though you see, oh, there are a lot of name and so on. That's still a surface. Still a surface. This year I don't plan to go deeper. But this level only. Okay, so we continue. So this h4 and then bishop g7, g3. So you can see the white try to break this configuration. So this what we call this chain configuration, in order to get the play, get its move piece to develop faster. And then white play this, black play that, and h3, fg3, and g4. So this is characteristic of the king gambits. Okay, just to give you the idea. Okay. But in king gambit, you can also, after you play, you can play also this thing, d5, d5, in order, what we call, to equalize easily lah. Not going to what we call, to this complication, all the complication. But one of the not disadvantage, meaning that one of the drawback for this is that this pawn is not protected, and later on white can gain the, not initiative, but can just easily take the pawn lah. But at least you break the center. Black tried to break the white center. So white, even though he got the pawn, now white also cannot get the big center. So the compromise there lah. So if you look here, the king gambit, so that is the idea behind the king gambit. So we see what Fischer in the article, the Bus to King Gambit, did is basically Fischer recommend to play d6 instead of playing the g5, instead of playing this g5 or this Berlin defense h6. Fischer recommend this because most of the problem of the King's Gambit come when this knight come here and attack somewhere here and there lah. So Fischer recommend this thing, and then white developed by bishop c4, and Fischer play h6. Okay, so Fischer called this as a Berlin defense deferred. Okay, Berlin defense deferred. Okay, by this subtle transposition. Okay, if you look, the difference is just a subtle. Berlin is like this, but Fischer recommendation is to play this first, and then only then by play this. So this is how at the top level they try to find the subtleties of the position. It's not like a very drastic move. Maybe just change the move order is enough to change the evolution and so on. Okay, so by doing this, Fischer knocked out the possibility of white to play the h5 straight away lah. Because if you play like this straight away, there's nothing lah. So somehow white black prevent white from play this early on. Okay. So and then Fischer continue with the white can continue with d4. So and then Fischer play g5, and then castle. If you play g4 here now, h4, white have this. Okay, so take this already protected, and also you can just take this lah. If you not take, I mean that you can protect this because this bishop already protect this thing. If I take here and take here, this thing, so there are no castle here, no castling here, and also this pawn is also still protected by this queen. So we can say that yeah, it's equal lah. So now until here, okay, now white is castling, and then bishop play at g7 and c3 and c6 and then queen b3. So you can see now the aim for the white is to attack of this. Okay, and then just what we call protect that, and then h4 and f6 whatever, and then h10 g5, h.g5. So this is basically what Fischer recommend. So you play this and then you take this, because white need to sort of like develop this thing in order to get this thing. So it, like it or not, white need to play h4 in order to break the black configuration lah. So Fischer recommend to play nf6 in order to develop further and also to attack this thing. And then here, if white take this thing, and then if white take, and you get this. Fischer recommend this thing. In this position, this is quite a wild position. It's quite the attacking position and so on. But in his recommendation, Fischer said that this position, black is still doing okay. Okay, black is still the master here lah. Okay, in this position, if you are white, most of the time you want to play this, right? You want to take this. Okay, you want to take this because of course this knight, and this queen already have this bishop to launch an attack to this pawn f7. Okay, so this is what Fischer suggests in the article lah. Remember during this time, okay, this is 1960, 1950, something like that. So during that time, not the chess computer is not there. Even the computer is not even what we call even exist at that time. Okay, so the player they study by using their head, using whatever they can come with that. They need to analyze their themselves. This position, the wild position is where the computer excel. If you look computer, they, when you see the evolution of the computer basically try to analyze the position by brute force. Normally lah, the way how computer calculate is by brute force, meaning that he tried to analyze each of the position lah. For example, let's say I give you this, let's say here. So for example, let's say I put engine here, insert analysis. Let's say I put engine. Let's say I add the computer analysis here. Let me load a little bit. Okay. So if you see the computer analysis there, you can see the computer just counting the bin. I mean, just do it what we call the by wait, I got this message from Brother Lutfi that said that Masum ada buat open chess tournament. Later we will talk. Brother Lutfi, they talk something in your WhatsApp group, but later I will talk about that lah. But look here, focus here first. You see here, down there, you can see that the computer analyzed by counting every possible move available on the position. If you look here, if I make it bigger, how I want to make it bigger? Let me make it bigger. Not here. How I want to make it bigger? Yeah, this thing, but you are not see there. Okay. Wait. No, this. Wait. So it's not showing. Okay, let me open this. This ni lah senang. Okay, if you look here. If you look at this position, you can see computer is calculating, and you can see he calculating 174,000 notes per second, meaning that position lah. So you can see this is where computer excel. It can calculate a lot of position in very quick time, but human cannot do that. Human have this tired and so on. So tactical position is where computer excel lah. So you can see it just straight away can give all the evolution, but human cannot. So that's one of the advantage of using computer. But coming back to the position just now. Okay, let me remove the computer first. Okay. Okay, so computer can make you somehow nowadays. Computer can make you deluded, meaning that you feeling that you know everything by having computer with you. Okay, that's why even during the chess tournament, if you ever watch live tournament, not physically but online. Normally when the top player play against the top player, for example World Championship or whatever, they will have the live broadcast. Let me show here first. Let me show this thing. Let's say, let me put here. Live broadcast chess. If you, so you can see here. So you can see normally when people play like this, for example like this, okay, you can see when the top player play in a tournament, normally their game is what we call broadcasted live lah. So you can see they are like what we call the commentator there. This commentator doesn't have access to any chess computer and so on. So whatever they say during the live commentator is not based on computer. So it gives this what we call a human touch during the commentation lah. But normally during the commentation there will be sort of like the chat section where the audience mean we or other person who watch this, they keep saying that, oh, why this guy, why this white doesn't see that tactic, why they are blunder, why this thing, oh, it's easy, I can win this by playing that thing and so on. The audience can say that because the audience normally when they watch this live, they have access to what we call access to the computer. So but when you are playing and also when you are commentating like this, they don't have access to any computer. So computer, if you don't know how to use it, it can be sort of like you get this delusion that you know everything because computer already say this and that. But in reality, you just base what you say on the computer evaluation. So that's the reason when you finish the game, it's better for you to try to make sense of the game first, analyze verbally first, and then only then go to computer analysis. If not, if you just click computer analysis, if you play league chess, you just finish your game, you click computer analysis, you get this what we call you are spoon feed with all the possible answer lah. It's like you are spoon feed every day. So yes, you get the immediate satisfaction, you get the immediate feedback, but in return to that, you don't really learn much. You just sort of like you know that thing, but you cannot apply that to the next game. Again, you play a game in the league chess, you still make the same mistake and the same mistake and same mistake. The reason is that you don't really really learn much by just clicking that that analysis. For example, in league chess, right? League chess, you don't really much by just clicking the computer analysis thing. For example, in league chess, I put, let's say, Ujai, whatever Ujai, and then if you just go and then go here and then go find anything, if you just click this what we call computer analysis, yes, it gives you all the stuff here, but it's not really it's useful for you. You know where you make mistake, but if this is the only way how you learn, then you get this delusion that you will be improved. But you keep playing and then you lose. You keep playing, you keep losing. You keep playing, you keep losing again. And the graph still like this. Not the graph of your progress still like this, because it's like what? It's like you don't really learn lah. You learn something, you get quick feedback, but in order to really learn is to start to use your head lah. To use your head first, and then let the computer help you later on. That's better than you just click the infinite analysis. If you better than you just click here and just want to sit back and relax and expect that you can improve by just doing like that. I don't say it's bad. It's okay. Time is a problem also, but if you really want to improve, you need to pay the price. There are price for everything. If you want to get the best, you need to sacrifice something. In this case, you need to sacrifice your time and your effort to think in order to improve. Okay, so that's life lah. That's not chess, but anything in life, you want to get like muscle, you need to go to gym, you need to like sweat and so on. It's not enough for you to just switch on the TV or go to YouTube and see how to get like strong or whatsoever in physical fitness and so on. It's not enough. You need to go there. You need to do the work. So in chess, doing the work is basically not just focusing on computer analysis, but try to make sense your game before you use computer to help you to fine tune your analysis and so on. So that's basically the ni lah. So back to this, what we call, back to this benda saya mengepek sekarang ni, back to here. Oh, there are my picture here. Let me move here. Okay, back to here. In this position, yes, computer is very excellent here. But without computer is quite what we call, you need to think which move is better for white here. Okay, Fischer recommend this thing. Fischer recommend bishop time f7 lah. Recommend, because that is quite forcing move. But according to the computer, this move is equal lah. It's better. It's quite counterintuitive, because if you look here, the knight and bishop already have the. Why not just take this? It's not like black can take the what we call the bishop, and after the king move somewhere, then you just take the knight later on. Okay, so but the computer recommend this straight away. It's much better. Okay, later we see why. But we see first what happened in this position. What we call, Fischer recommend this knight bishop take f7, and then the king d8, and then knight take this thing, and then queen take that thing, and then bishop take that thing, and then knight take this thing lah. It's not winning yet. It's just to say that black have it's already winning actually. Black wins lah here, because even though the king here you see is quite sort of like in the open field, but the firepower of the white piece, for example this thing is quite overwhelming, which cause this the what we call the black have the advantage here, because this take then checkmate lah. That's easy as that. So that's what Fischer recommend. Fischer recommend that d6 here, this little move here, prevent the knight from coming to this square, and also in this recommendation, Fischer doesn't what we call it doesn't really need for the king to castle or whatever, because the king for black king here is quite safe there. So that's in the Fischer recommendation. But if you look the computer evaluation, the computer suggests this thing. Instead of taking the f7, the computer suggests this end time take knight. So if this take, and then only then you capture. And then is this position. If the king goes here, king here, and now if let's say what we call the bishop take, if you take here, then you have this check, and then king d7, and then you have this queen d5. Okay, it seems similar as before, but a little bit different. You can see the recording later on. It seems similar, but it's not. Okay, this here, the what we call the position is quite is level lah. It's level, because there are no immediate checkmate and so on lah. Okay, because and so on. Okay, because this knight, because this queen here, once the queen is exchanged, then is almost level lah. If you look at the Fischer, I think it's almost the same actually. Here, and then you take this thing, and then let's say you don't take, you check, it's also the same actually. This thing, you go here, and then I think it's also the same. Wait, let me check. Okay, I think it's also the evaluation is also the same, meaning that when I say the evaluation is same, is that it's same as before lah, the one that computer evaluate. So it's actually the same lah. So I already checked the next thing, it's already the same lah. Let me close the computer analysis, because it will hang my computer first. Wait, okay. Okay. Okay, so even here, the Fischer only stop here. But computer, if you have computer, the computer move here and go there and play queen d5, and the position is considered as level yet, still level. So that's the way how you how computer can sort of like change the evaluation, even though the article that you see just now, for example, the article that you see just now saying that the bus to king gambit, this thing, even though this article written by the world champion and the title is a bus to king gambit, meaning that to tell the audience that whoever play king gambit will be lost. But still, during the advent of computer, then with that you can change the evaluation and so on. Okay. So that's the thing about the computer. You use computer to what we call to help you in analysis, because computer mostly can go further deep into the position. So even though you have this article, over time, even nowadays, you still have a book on king gambits, because the what we call the evolution keep changing. The chess is too rich to be solved just by one article like this. In fact, if you look here in 2000 something, I think they also what we call one article by the chess base saying that busting to king gambits. This is when 2012, 6 years ago, 10 years ago, almost 10 years ago. Busting the king gambit, this time for sure. Okay, it's basically relate to this Bobby Fischer article, but this time with the help of the computer, this guy, the software programmer, they claim that this king gambit is really busted. It's really busted. Okay, so they use this multi-core processor whatsoever and so on, and then at the end he said that this is the way how to win against king gambit. Just play like this, play like this, play like this, play like this, and play queen b2 like that, and then the only move that lead to draw, meaning that of course in king gambit white want to win. So but this is basically how this programmer said they're using the IBM or an IBM cluster supercomputer to analyze. He said that okay, this way, even with the computer, is agree that this position is king gambit is already busted lah. King gambit soft. Okay, king gambit soft. But of course, this is, if you look here, of course this is not true, because if you look here, that's why if you read any news, please be careful also. Here is 2 April 2012. 2 April 2012. Chessbase have this what we call tradition to make this April Fool joke. So just they make a bunch of article. One of the article will be not true, because Chessbase normally is like a reputable source for chess news lah. It's like the newspaper, the really high end newspaper and so on. But this article is basically the April Fool joke like for Chessbase lah. They said after that this is April Fool and so on, just to show that this what we call if I put here Chessbase April Fool King Gambit. Okay, so okay, so this, let me put it just before we start. Okay, for example, our report on the busting on the king gambit was well received. Normally we get between few dozen Facebook likes and so on, but this one recorded almost 2,000, because remember, when you make a claim, one opening is refuted and so on, of course many people will get what we call, will be provoked and so on. So that's why you get this reply. Chessbase got this almost 2,000 reply for that one article alone. But of course, that is the April Fool and so on. Just to say, for the side note, do you know that chess not yet solved until now by the computer? But if you look checkers solved, okay. But checkers damaji, so it's already solved. What does it mean by solved? Is that when you play a game, when you make the initial move on the board for the checkers, whatever you move, then computer already know the end result for that. Okay. In fact, this is, you can read the article and so on. In fact, it's already in the soft game, and then in the journal article, in the very prominent journal article. It's like, it's really a paper lah. Checker is soft, but chess still not soft. It take a lot more to solve the chess game. Okay, so basically even here it takes how much? It take like 15 years, 18 years to solve that checkers. I mean that it left the computer running for 18 years, not computer, the supercomputer running for 18 years, and then at the end is they got this, like they already analyzed each possible move position lah. For example, if you see here, if I put here, and if I put the what we call at Kibitzer, the computer, if you look here, if you see here, you see they are depth 13 whatever, so on. Even here 300 400 position per second the computer analyze. Still it's analyzed like this. It takes like a long time in order to finish until the end. So it takes a very long time. Okay, so that's what does it mean by computer using their brute force to solve whatever game and so on. So let me close that thing and coming back to here. So yeah, you can read further about this if you want to, if you are interested in this, what we call how computer and chess and checkers, how computer use their, how it can be used to solve games and so on. Okay, enough about that. So let's talk. We're done with the King Gambit. Let's talk. As I said before, King Gambit. Let me close this first so that my RAM can be used better. So we're done with this. Okay, so you can Google lah. So if you look here, King Gambit, you see the popularity is going down. Okay, this is one of the Gambit opening that even though still rich nowadays, still, I mean, the computer still cannot solve. I mean, the computer cannot solve the chess yet. But even this King Gambit is not busted. Not many people play nowadays lah. Even at top level Grandmaster, it's still not played nowadays. But there are few Gambit. Okay, there are few Gambit games that is what we call very popular, especially at the amateur level. When I say amateur level, I mean our level lah. Our level I consider as amateur lah. Okay, if you are not like having any title like IIUM or FM or GM, we just consider ourselves as amateur lah. Even though some of you are quite good, but still from this world standard, we are still amateur. Okay. Anyway, in this amateur level, there are few Gambit that you should know, because they often come out very what we call very common. One of it is Smith-Morra Gambit. Smith-Morra Gambit. One of it is, so this is for E4. Especially if you are playing Sicilian. If you are playing Sicilian, there are one Gambit called Smith-Morra, new variation. We call it Smith. This is Smith-Morra Gambit. If you are from matriculation, I believe you have seen Ustaz Anif played this Gambit lah. Smith-Morra Gambit. Okay. So white offer a pound and then take, and then white offer another pound, meaning that now if you count the pound, white have 6, black have 7. So meaning that white give 1 pound for activity. So this is Smith-Morra Gambit. This is different than Alapin. This is different than Alapin. If this Alapin is reputable, I mean, it's a very reputable opening. One of the anti-Sicilian method. If you don't like, if White doesn't want to go into this Sicilian theory, most of the time he will play C3 lah, so that he go to the plan is to go to this what we call D4, making a center. Here, if Black play this and White play this, and if Black capture, the White have this pawn center. Compared to this what we call Smith-Morra. Smith-Morra, they offer the pawn first, so there are no center. There are no center. White cannot recapture back with the pawn, so there are no center. So that's the difference between the Alapin. C3, this thing and this thing. So there are no White. There are no like D4, D4, E4 center here. So that's the difference between the Smith-Morra and Alapin. Smith-Morra Gambit, the one here, is not really. You don't see this in the top level. Rarely see this opening in top level chess. Sometimes they play, but occasionally only lah. But in the amateur level, this quite famous lah. This quite you may face this if you are playing Sicilian. You may face this maybe once in a while lah. So let's talk about that what we call that Smith-Morra, because learning about the Smith-Morra teaching you, even though you are not E4 player, teaching you about how to deal with the initiative, with the development, rapid development. So let's go here again, and then let me open the Smith-Morra. Okay, that's Smith-Morra. So as I said, this thing, okay, so that is Smith-Morra. Okay, if you don't want to deal with the Smith-Morra theory, don't take this thing. Just go there lah. Just move there, and then at least now, White doesn't have this C3 square for the knight. So White need to waste some time to move this pawn, and then move this knight, and so on. So at least this pushing to the D3, even though it seemed like Black giving White the move for free, but still here this square here is quite strange, and normally the knight want to go there. So at the end of the day, White need to move this pawn again, and then yeah, we can see equal lah. So that's if you don't want to deal with the Smith-Morra theory. But I just want to show you the danger of this initiative in Smith-Morra. Let me move this thing first. Okay, so you take this thing, and then now you can see, now White can easily develop. You can see now the knight already developed, and this bishop can go, this bishop can go here, the knight can move here, and then you can castle, and then the queen can go here, and the rook can go here. So you can see from the onset, you can see that the position is quite favorable in terms of development for White, because his piece can easily goes out lah. Compared to the Black, you can see there are still like lot of barrier here, so it's quite difficult for the piece to go out, and so on. One more, if let's say Black want to develop like this, then this is blunder lah. Not blunder, a mistake. So White can just go push and go at, and then you get this like very enormous, very big advantage in time lah, in development. So that 1 pound that have been sacrificed, we can say we call it compensation. White got compensation over the pound that he sacrificed previously. So this is what we call compensation. For the pound, White got time. White got the development. Okay. So let's see about Smith-Morra. So what is the White plan in Smith-Morra? Important for those who play Sicilian. You will see, maybe you will face this once in a while. Okay? So you have this, and then normally Black develop, and then NF3. So White keep rapidly develop, and then this E6. Okay. So this E6 is the idea for this E6 is to blunt the bishop on C4. Normally, bishop White want to put his bishop here. Okay. But yeah, White still put his bishop there, even though he know that this is blunted. Still, White play the bishop there, and then Black play this thing. This is not the best move, but is often necessary lah in Sicilian, because in Sicilian there are a lot of tactic due to this knight go to b5. So if you can sort of like prevent that from happening, that's better lah. So that is we call it, this tiny move have a lot of use lah, to avoid a lot of tactic in Sicilian. That's why Najdorf is quite popular. Najdorf, the idea of Najdorf is to play this a6, because this b5 square is quite right for the tactical by white, if black is not careful. Okay, so now white keep developing by castling and then end e7. So this is one of the recommended ways. Knight to g7 is one of the recommended way to play against Smith-Morra, because if you look black position now, black is quite cramped, right? Black is quite cramped, but white is quite active. The problem now is this square. The problem is this square. It's quite weak. Okay. Black doesn't want to go here, because if you go here, then you can just push, or you can just pin that, and then you can just pin here, and then the what we call the black position is still cramped. So the idea for black normally is to go here and then to go here. So that is protecting this pawn from moving to this square. So that's the idea for black. When this pawn is not here, okay, imagine if this pawn is here. Let's say if this pawn is here, let's say this pawn is here. Let's say you go back there again. This square is very weak lah. This square will become very, very weak. You don't put the queen there because you just eat lah. But this square is very, because the knight can go here. The knight can go here and then go there. Okay. So that's the apa ni? So that's the reason when the knight go here, all black piece is quite what we call quite cramped lah. This bishop cannot go out, and then the development for this knight also hindered. And when this knight is hindered, then the castling also a problem for black, and so on. So this square is quite crucial for black. So by playing this thing, by playing ng7, and planning to go to this what we call to g6, black somehow protect this square, and then later on he will move his bishop to here and then play this move. So it's remove this what we call the weak square and then castle, and then we can say at that moment black is okay, black position is okay lah. He already got this 1 pawn for free, so you can say that black is already consolidated and can play lah, can play. So that's the reason why ng7. The best try for white is to play bishop g5 in order to prevent this knight from going here, okay, to pin the knight. So here there are two main moves for white, either to play s6, okay, but this s6 then the bishop just maintain the pin. The principal move for black is to play this f6, even though here create this what we call this weak diagonal, but yeah, this pin is much more troublesome than this weak diagonal, because now still white cannot really utilize this diagonal. So black white move there, and then let's say black move to b5 and then bishop b3, and then now black play to g6. Okay, but if you are play Morra, I recommend, for me I recommend you, if you are black, I recommend you to just chop this bishop as soon as possible lah. This bishop is quite what we call is quite an headache lah. This bishop is quite headache in the Morra, I mean. So my recommendation is to just go to a5 and try to chop this bishop as soon as possible. So for example, let's say white play this thing and then just go bishop b7, just complete the development, and after that take this bishop, and then we can say, and then only then you can just go here, because remember this bishop here, even though you see it's blunted here, this is blunt, is like say, even though this bishop seems like doing nothing because of this pawn, remember when you move this pawn to the f6, this pawn already like weakened a little bit, okay. If the pawn here is the f pawn is still here, is still at the original square here, this original square here, then it's okay. But now the pawn is already at f7, so this is quite what we call, it's quite weakened lah. And if like say the black castle managed to castle also, this pawn cannot be pushed forward because of this pin to the king over there. So that's the what we call the reason why I recommend, if you play against Smith-Morra, try to take this bishop as soon as possible. Okay, so let's say if you play this ng6, this is not like a blunder. It's just like a ways to play lah, one way to play. Instead of playing this, then you can also play knight g6 also. Let's say you play ng6. Okay, so this is one of the trap in Morra that you should know if you are black playing Sicilian. So this is not really trap, but can why Morra quite dangerous. This is typical not sacrifice, typical sacrifice in Smith-Morra, because here this is the move that what we call typical lah in this Morra Gambit, because the idea for this is basically to move the bishop here and get queen for free. That's the what we call the main idea for knight d5. If black take, okay, if black take, if what we call, if take and then you take, okay, if let's say you move, white have this high, what we call, people say that high class move, because this move not only it what we call prevent this bishop going out, because this pawn is basically protected by this queen anyway. So it's not only it's threatened, this move cramp the black position, white also threatened to play this queen, this thing, and then what we call try to take this thing lah, to do double attack to checkmate, and also take the what we call the rook. Okay, so let's say black counter that, and then you can take the knight. Okay, you take the knight, and normally you take with the f pawn, because if you take with the knight, then you have all this thing, because this what we call this line is already open, so it's easy, because even though this knight also is not really be well placed here, because white can always go to f4 later on. So it's crazy, and yeah, black will be mated lah. So that's why normally when you see people take with the f pawn in order to close this what we call this file, so that the king is quite safe there. So now you can see the danger of this bishop, right? So as I said before, this bishop sort of like really dangerous in Morra. So it's sort of like what you call prevent the castling and do a lot of stuff lah. So that's why my recommendation is take this bishop as soon as possible. So now coming back for that, so this f4, even though it's blocked the position, white can play f4 to what we call to open back the position. If you take this, then the position is quite open lah. So now again this is open. This open. Remember, the king cannot go here. Because this is no go because of this bishop. Because of this bishop is no go lah. So if you here white can play that ni. Can play rook e1, and if you take, then you can take there, check, and then bishop e7, and then queen d4. Okay, in this position, this doesn't say that black is losing. Okay, this is not I don't say here black is losing, but even the computer also saying that this position is quite equal. But in practice, okay, computer is one thing, theory is one thing, practicality is one thing. When you play on the board, okay, when you play in real tournament, you play on the board as a human, it's much more difficult to defend as a black here compared to white. White, even though you see how many pieces, okay, white have one minor piece, 1 2 3 4. Black have 1 2 3 4 5 6. So black have like 2 piece advantage over white, but computer evaluate this position as equal. Okay, even though white have this 2-piece advantage, and even in practice, it's much more difficult to what we call to defend with black compared to white, because now white is attacking this pawn, and then this rook can go here easily and then go somewhere. So it's much more difficult to play as black. So black must find a very what we call the most of the time black need to find a good defense lah. And finding the good defense will cost you time, because you need to think. Any miscalculation will cost you time, and any miscalculation will cost you a game. But to find that the best defense is always cost you a time. So you normally maybe end up with time, loss on time, and so on. So that is danger of Morra. Okay, if let's say the what we call, if let's say black try to not to open this file, let's say previously we show that what we call black take, and then you get this sort of like equal position. But let's say now black doesn't want to open the file, so here white can just win by taking that, and then yeah, of course you need to take anyway, but now it's much more dangerous lah. So this is, here is already winning lah. So it's already winning. For example, let's say you take this, planning to check here and so on. So here white already have this forced checkmate lah. So this is position is good for you to study position, to train your calculation skill lah. So in this position, white can checkmate lah, maybe in 10 move like that. Okay, but it's forced checkmate. Okay, so how white can checkmate is basically just to show. I just do it very fast, just to get you the idea how white can checkmate in this position. So basically you get f7 check. Okay, so because this bishop is racking here, so you cannot go there, so you need to go here, and then you have this open file check, and then the open file check, and then need go back, and then you get check again, go here. At least now white can have a draw. At least if let's say white make mistake, at least white have a draw, just move again and again the same thing. But here white have a mate, so by playing bishop e6 and then king e6, and then you have this, as I said again and again, this pawn. If you don't have this pawn here, it's always look here, it's always something there. So and then g6, and then you have this bishop f7 again, and then go f8, and then you get this check, and then you have this check. You try to prevent that check, and then you have this check again. You see this open close, and the file is quite annoying lah, quite annoying. And king e8, and then you can just take that, and then you can checkmate later on by taking this thing, or somewhere you checkmate here lah. Okay, so that is basically Smith-Morra. You should know if you are black, if you are playing Sicilian, Smith-Morra, this what we call this, there are many people, especially at amateur level, play this thing as a anti-Sicilian method for them. Okay, so that is Smith-Morra. But Smith-Morra is and what we call Smith-Morra is what we call the opening that not really, as I said before, Smith-Morra, even though it's played a lot by the amateur, is not really appeal to the top level player, because for them they say that this Smith-Morra is not sound. Okay, black can always get advantage if he know how to play by taking the bishop on b3 just now. Then we can say that black is still can play very decent game lah, can win even. Okay, but so this is one of the gambit that you should know if you are playing Sicilian. There are some gambit that are quite popular. Some gambit that are quite popular at high level. Normally gambit at high level play, you often not see the gambit game. But there are one type of gambit that is common at high level, which is a Benko Gambit. If you are a d4 player, you should look at this what we call at this Benko Gambit. So Benko Gambit is basically this. You play like go to this Benko first. No need lah. So I just use here. So let's say here. So if let's say black play what you call queen f6. This is Indian defense. So normally for white they play like this. So this is Benko Gambit. If you are d4 player, look out for this Benko Gambit, because the idea in Benko is totally different than any other Queen Gambit or any other. The idea behind the Benko, or when you play this, is basically you are black playing a hybrid of the Indian. So this Indian, when you make the knight out. So normally black, if black play nf6 instead of playing d4, he play nf6. This signifies that black want to go to the Indian defense, either king Indian. So this is king Indian. He play as we discussed before, or play Nimzo Indian, or play queen Indian. Okay, if you don't remember this, just go my previous class and see what's the difference between this king, queen, and also the Nimzo Indian. So normally when black play nf6, so it signifies that he want to play queen Indian. And normally white will play c4, and this is what we call the Benko. Okay, not Benko yet, but this the structure, but it's like black want to hybrid the Indian and also the Sicilian. Okay, so normally in this case white push in front, and black can go to this Benoni system, or so that's Benoni system is not Gambit lah, normal lah, or this black can play this what we call let me open this last easy. Okay, so black want to play this b5. So this is Benko Gambit. Okay, the idea of Benko Gambit is that you can take this and then it offer another gambit here. So you can see here, whatever you can see that normally in Benko Gambit, black idea is to let's say I put null move, insert null move. Okay, the idea in Benko Gambit is this: you want to go here, you want to go here, this cancel, this go somewhere, maybe insert null move, maybe here, this what we call, what is this here. Macam nak buat ni, queen a5, and then how to null move again. Oh, this check, oh that's why. Let's say put here, and then internal move here. The idea for null move, this thing, new variation, and then internal move go here, internal move go here. So this is the idea of the Benko Gambit. Black giving a free pawn here in order to get this file, and with the bishop here is also racking on this file. And this is the idea behind the Benko Gambit lah. This is Benko Gambit lah. Benko Gambit. Even if you go to reference here, let's say I open here to the this Benko. So this and d6 and not d6. This is this one. Okay, take. Okay, this position. If I go to the reference, you can see there are a lot of top player also play that. Okay, if I go to the reference here. Take some time. Oh, you can see me. So it's me here. Okay. Let the database crunch the data first. Okay, if you see the hotness here, meaning that it's trending. It's trending. And even Carson play the what I call the Benko Gambit. So let's say we play here. Let's say here, and let us see who play that. The meaning that this when black offer another pawn, that is the start of real Benko lah. So if you see let's say the black, we want to see the black win. We click the yellow. So you see Carlsen also, the current world champion also play Benko regularly lah. I mean not regularly, but it's one of the. You remember when world champion play some opening, meaning that you get this approval by the best that this opening is sound lah. It's sound. So you see there are a lot of game lah. So let's see one game here just quickly. So just look at this small, what we call this small board there. Okay, the small board. See this small board. See how black play. So I just go very quick. Not there. So I need to go here. Okay, so maybe we go to yellow, and then we go to just to get the idea lah. How just look at the small board there. If you look, just look at how black play. Okay, so normally he try to push play on the queen side. So let's see here first. So you can see. So you see. So everything he will. Wait, this is one thing when you deal with the data, with the big data, you need to allow some time lah if your computer is not so strong. So again, I just want to see here. This is not. I don't know. Okay, here. Okay, it takes time. Okay, just look at the small ni. So that's what we see just now, and see here. Just see the way how. So this thing, just go there. See the black player. It's always want to what we call. It's always. Sorry, because it's difficult to deal with the two board there. But the idea is that rook will go here, queen will go here. Everything happen on the queen side lah. So that's the idea of the what we call this Benko. So you see, it's only so I don't want to go to the reference. Go to 9. So that's the idea in the Benko lah. You have this even though you give a pound, but you have this open file and so on. So if you are deep 4 player, be careful. You should know a little bit lah about Benko. If you don't want to accept the Benko, you just move in front lah. Just move in front if you don't want to deal with the Benko. Okay. Let's see in the opening encyclopedia. If you want to know, for example, let's say how to this one Benko Gambit. Benko Gambit is. So let me close this first. Save file, save. Okay, whatever. Okay, let's say now if I open a new game, cancel. File, new game file, save. Okay, new game. Okay, let's say this new game. Let's say I want to know what is the how to find this Benko Gambit in the opening encyclopedia. You play this, and then you play this, thing, and then you play this thing, and then you have this. Okay, when you play this thing, and then you want to know, this. If you see at the bottom here, so this my cursor, right? You see at the bottom here, it says A57 or 58 like that here. So if you go to the opening encyclopedia, you just go to echo list. You can go to the A58, 57 like that. You can see what they talk about this Benko lah. So let's say we take this thing, trend whatever you said there. So if you look here, recent development in Benko Gambit accepted. If you can read here, for quite few years I cover Benko. Another name for Benko is Volga. Blah 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 and so on. In those days, world class player as blah 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 employed it regularly, meaning that even top player play Benko, the Gambit. So it's quite popular on this intermediate GM level. Okay, so you can see the trend. You can see also the trend and so on. Okay, let's see here. In my opinion, in my opinion, an interesting comparison with the approved Gambit, meaning that there are few Gambit that is approved by the top player. Benko is one thing, In my opinion, an interesting comparison with the approved gambit from the open game warrant itself, the Marshall in Rai Lopez. Another gambit that is what we call that is quite popular in the top level is Marshall in Rai Lopez. So basically Marshall in Rai Lopez is this. This, let me close this thing. There are a lot of, so let me close everything that is not related. So Marshall Gambit is Marshall attack is basically this thing they play whatever, and then what, and then take this, and then this thing, this Lopez theory lah, this theory only. Normally yeah, I don't remember. Read one. Okay. Zero. Okay. No, this is basically the what we call the Marshall attack lah. It gives the pawn for free, because if you take, so you black already offer a pawn for free, but giving the pawn, if you count, you have like 6 pound for black and then 7 pound for white. But here black have this like initiative in terms of attack. If you look here, you can just attack like that. Okay, so that is the Marshall lah, the Marshall attack. When you heard about Marshall, this is Marshall attack. So this is one of the gambit. The gambit happened in the middle game here. To give the pawn for free here. So you give the pawn for free here. You give the pawn for free there, mean that you give this thing for free. So you give thing for free, but you get time lah. You get time to attack and so on. So this Marshall attack in Rai Lopez is basically another approved gambit in top level lah. So even if you look here, they said that Marshall is quite popular, with white quite often avoiding it. Okay. A notable example is Kasparov, who never faced it in his career. Meaning that if, let's say, Kasparov is white, he never take this. He play whatever this thing, or maybe before lah, he tried to, instead of c3, he play this thing. This is what we call anti-Marshall. You play this thing, or in order to avoid that Marshall attack lah. So that's the idea of the gambit lah. So gambit is something that you offer for free, but in return you get a time. So there are few gambit that is quite approved at the top level, for example Benko and also the Marshall attack in Rai Lopez. But there are certain gambit that is popular at your level, at our level, for example Smith-Morra. For those who are playing Sicilian, you should know that. There are also gambit that is no more popular, for example King Gambit, but people might use it from time to time as a surprise weapon lah. So we're done with the gambit and so on. What to do now? Okay. So how you want to know, how you want to study the chess opening? Okay, this thing, whatever this thing that I show you, if you have this, sometimes you can read the thing using this thing, read the what we call the opening using books, or using this opening encyclopedia, you get the idea. Or you can also depend on this opening book whatsoever. Whatever this the from the computer, so you just easily, you can just click, and you know which one is the best, not the best, the popular one. Previously I show you this thing. Previously I show you about this what we call, I have this in my work here. I show you that we have this thing. No, this not this too. Okay, let me close this. Previously I show you this thing, the probability, the statistic for the opening. So this is the statistic for the opening. Okay, so let me open the previous one, that, and then maybe I open another one from here. No, from here, this one. Okay, let me make it smaller. Okay, just to show you the difference between all these things. Okay, so this here, let me put here slowly. Let me put here. Let me make it smaller, just to show you what is this, the one way of you to understand which opening is popular or not. You can do also this using Skit, the free database. Just now I want to show you what all this mean in 3 panels, so that easy for you to make a comparison. Okay, so let me make it like this. Let me make this. Okay, this here, this here, this here. Okay. Okay, if you look here, okay, this is basically the statistic from 8.7 million thing. This statistic, just statistic. This also statistic, the same statistic, but here I take from 2000. The player is only from 2200 rating and above. What I mean is that if I open the chess base, here, if I open here, and then if I open a board, and not open the board, meaning that I go to my database and I have all this thing, all the data. Okay, all the data, the 8.7 million thing, so on. If let's say I try to find, Control F, let's say I want to filter all this data, I want to filter only the player that is having rating 2200 and above only, for both at least. So from here, they have this 8.7 million. If I click OK here, it will save the data, so that only the game that is played by the 2200 player is captured here. Okay, so what I did by that is that I create a opening tree out of this, meaning that I create the the opening book out of that, from that data. So now all the data, if you look here, all the data is basically coming from game that is played by player above 2200. So when the higher the rated, when the player is have rating that is higher than 2000 or 2200, normally their game is more better lah. So if you want create the book out of that, is more reliable lah. That's what you see from this, what we call the lead chess. If I go to the lead chess, go to the lead chess here, and let's say I go to the tools, and then you have opening explorer tool, and then you have this opening explorer, and then you see the book here at the bottom here. You click that, you click the book. If I open this thing, you can see this thing. If this I have shown before, this masters, the opening book that they use is that 2 million on the board games of 2200 rated player from this to this, from this year to this year. So I did the same thing here, meaning that I create my the same what we call the same just now. So I just filter only 2200 player games from whatever years that I have in my database until recent lah. So this thing I make into the book. I make into this book. This one, the middle one. So you see here 2200. So you see the number of game is lower, 2 million only. Here is 8 million. This is 2 million. This is 2 million. This is the all the thing, and this is my what you call the opening book that I use. Okay, so just to show you that the statistic if all the game is considered in my database, the first move, the most popular move is still e4. Same with this, same with this, if we filter to the 200, 2000, 2200, still e4 is the most popular, and the reply also c5, c5, c5. So somehow, if you have the data, the most important is the data. If you have the data, you can make the opening book out of that. You know, you somehow know that the first move here is the one that is most common being played, and that is what we call like the main theory lah, the main theory. So the c5, same, nf3, and of course c5 is also nf3, and so on. So by just clicking like that, you sort of like know the idea of that opening lah. Just clicking like this. You just click. You know this is what is the main line. So it's easy to you to study the opening like this rather than you just need to open the actual book and read and so on. So that's what of the advantage of having the data. You can create this tree, they call it tree, just by filtering and then make opening book tree from that. Okay, when you see the color here, normally the color here is for the computer, meaning that if let's say I'm using this book for computer match, for example, I have stockfish and then I have another stockfish. I want to to match them together, to make them play against each other. One I put this book and one I don't supply with any book. So this the one that have book will perform better normally. Okay, because book based on the this opening book is based on the experience and so on. So it can give a more more better evaluation for the computer in the opening phase lah. So for example, if the rate here, meaning that this statistically not significant, so computer will not play this. The blue is basically computer will prefer this. The green is basically the one that is statistically being played by the human lah. So that's the idea of this opening book. So you can create this thing in order to study the opening lah. You just click there lah. Click, just like that. Okay, so that is basically the the opening book. Just to show you about the opening book. Okay, let me close. No, and no. Okay, so today we have talked about this gambit, but let me see what happened in your games. So Massive League, okay, let's see, we open that thing. So this is what you played, and let's see what's the opening that you commonly played against each other. So I just Control A and then find the statistic. You can see if I go to this games, you can see that there's still the most common the opening that you played against each other is D02. D02 is basically London here, if I'm not mistaken. If I go to opening encyclopedia, so yeah, so I close this first. Okay, so here, let's see, go to here, D02 is basically, you just go close, you echo list, and then you go to D02. Okay, so D02, A, B, C, D. Okay, you can see, it's London system, London, but also D02 is Grunfeld. It's also the other thing. D02 also Queen Pound game, Queen Pound opening, London system. Mostly it's London system lah. Because why? Because even though you have the code, even though you have this code D02, it's not necessarily strictly London. Because even if you go to Wikipedia, list of chess opening, they give you the idea of what is the code means. This one code, for example, A00 to A0. Let me take D lah. D02 A B C D A B C D. Okay, D02. They have a lot of things. They have even D02. Where is D02? Okay, D02 is basically Queen Pound game. including London system. Okay, meaning that it's not necessarily London system only. It can be other thing. Because remember, as I said in the beginning of the class, during the middle, in the opening move, white have what we call many ways to open the game. For example, white can move here, here. There are 20 different ways for white to open the game. And also same with the black. Black also can open 20 different ways in the opening. And for the first move, it's already 400s. Second move, it's already 70,000. And in third move, it's already like 9 million possibilities. A distinct position that you can achieve on the board. So for you, for human to make this code to cater all these things is quite impossible. The millions, and then you want to have this million of code, so it's quite impossible. So basically the code that you see, the echo code, normally the code that you see here, for example here, the echo and secondary of chess opening here, the echo code here, they are not exact. They sort of like group. Okay, for example D02 can be anything, can also be London system. It's like a family. D02 is like a family of certain opening. It's not like that opening alone. So, because if I go to your games here, where is your game? Here, if I go to your game, even though here is D02, meaning that it's quite London. But if I look at your game, mostly, so you see the side. So, let me see. So, on the side, so you see this on the side here. If I look, for example, Mizan, Hafiz Jamil, Mizan is D4. Okay, Mizan play like this. You see, you have Fanketo. This is what we call Fanketo. You open to make this what we call the bishop move here. If I look Humuhani, okay, Humuhani also play like this. Right, you have this Fanketo at G2. The bishop want to go to G2 and so on. If I go to Safiddin, same also. You have Fanketo here, but Safiddin have this double Fanketo and so on here. And Mizan play this Semi-Slav variation, one of the Semi-Slav variation. If I go to Mizan, same. No, not same. This is not. She doesn't play G3 here. Go to Nuril. Nuril is different. Go to Huzaifi. Huzaifi is E4 player. Safiddin. So, Fanketo on the G2 and then double Fanketo again at B2. Hafiz Jamil, Hafiz E4 player. Siti Sarah, London. Umuhani, same like Safiddin. Almost similar to Safiddin actually. Umuhani opening. And then Mio, I think E4. Mio E4 player. Faiz is London. Okay. Umuhani again like a Safiddin. So we can say that most of the games this Kurato is E4. Faiz London again. Aisyah E4. Hafiz Jamil E4 player. Nuril E4 player. Siti Sarah D4 player London. Mio E4 player. Mizan is D4 player but Fanketo. Quarto Ain E4 player. Hafiz E4 player. Khalid, I don't know what's the thing. So this is London. Siti Sarah London. Safiddin, this what we call this this is just what we call the mistake in the opening. Umuhani, this D4. So many of you will face this thing, will face sort of like D4 and your D4 continued by this what we call this the Fanketo on the G2. So let's look at the let me see the Safiddin and Aisyah. I will not discuss today, maybe next lah. What is Safiddin? Mizan, Safiddin, Safiddin 5. Okay, like this. Mio, Safiddin, Mizan. Okay. So if you look here, this opening here. So this opening, let's say I open this thing. Let me open this. What we call this thing? Okay. If you look at this, their game here, this position, you can see here, this resemble Catalan opening, resemble Catalan. This configuration Catalan opening. This thing resemble Slav opening. And here, when you Safiddin Fanketo here, this and this sort of like resemble the Reti system. So there are 3 opening hybrid together in this position. So maybe tak sempat kalau saya nak buat hari ni. So because I want to discuss about this, Reti system, Catalan system, and also Semi-Slav system. And then after that, coming back to this game to see what you can learn from this and how to play against this Safiddin double Fanketo. Okay. But in order to understand what happening, how to deal with this double Fanketo, so this is what we call double Fanketo. You have this bishop here, and then you have this what we call another bishop here, this double Fanketo, and also this Catalan style. How to deal with this? Okay, because I think most of you face this position once in a while lah, and how black can deal with that. Okay, so in order to understand that, we need to learn a little bit about Catalan system. This is Catalan, the green one is Catalan system. We need to learn also about this Reti system when you Fanketo at B2, and also for black, because this Mizan play this triangle setup, we call it Semi-Slav lah. In chess we call it Semi-Slav. So we need to learn a little bit about the Semi-Slav formation, the name of the opening lah. So there are 3 opening that we will look, and maybe do I have time for that? 35 5. Yeah, we try, but I will not deal with the let me open this thing. Sorry, this thing, and to view must this standard layout. Okay. So this thing, this my face here. Okay. So that thing, we need to learn about this 3 separate system first. Try to understand that, and then we see how we can use that knowledge in order to play against Safiddin setup. Okay. But that maybe next week lah. Next week I just tell you first each of these rapidly, quickly for each that, and then only then later on next week maybe we don't do end game maybe just one day, maybe just like that lah, because it can be quite long for this. So yeah, we will see this game again, Safiddin and Mizan later on. But before that, we want to learn the idea behind each of this opening here. The Catalan setup, the green one, the Reti setup, the red one here, and the Semi-Slav setup here. Okay, so next week we go straight to this Safiddin and Mizan as Izzati game lah. So let's talk about first we will talk about the maybe Slav defense. What is Slav defense? Okay, let me open this. Let me view standard layout first. Okay, what is Slav defense? So this normally when you play Queen Gambit, D4 D5, D4 D5, and then C4. If you play this C6 like this, that is Queen Gambit lah. But Slav, they play this thing. You play C6, okay. So this, the advantage of this game is by playing C6, you don't sort of like block this, what we call this bishop. The bishop coming here, it doesn't block this bishop. So that's one advantage of Slav over this thing, because when you play Queen Gambit, you already block this bishop. So that's one advantage. However, when you play Slav, even though you give this bishop breathing space, you also what we call put the what we call the pawn at C6, which is normally the common square for the knight at B8 lah. So but the problem is not really this knight anyway. The problem I mean the idea for the Slav is about the time. because in Queen Gambit, if you see Queen Gambit, the knight here doesn't go here anyway. Okay, the knight normally go here, go to the d6. So it's not much the problem. This thing, this what we call this c6 square here, even though the knight cannot go here, is still okay. But the what we call much more important consideration is that black already waste a tempo. Normally black want to push this thing in order to break this pawn, right? Normally in Queen Gambit, any Queen Gambit, black want to push to c5 in order to break the center of the white. So the downside for this c6 is that black need to use another tempo, another move in order to achieve this dc5 break. So that's the main consideration in Slav, not because of this knight cannot go here, because the knight in Queen Gambit normally doesn't go here anyway. It goes here and so on. So that's the idea of Slav lah. One of the perk of the Slav. So the Semi-Slav, this is Slav. Slav meaning that it gives you the bishop coming out. There are another opening called Semi-Slav. Semi-Slav basically they play this. They play c6 and also later on, if I may, let me put insert null move. It will play this thing. Okay, it will play this thing. So this is Semi-Slav. The bishop suddenly it doesn't what we call. It just black voluntarily shut this bishop. Voluntarily shut this bishop. Okay, so we will see the Slav first. Okay, we will see the Slav first. Okay, in Slav, what we play ends f3, and then nf6, and then nc3, and then take on c4. So this is main line in Slav. Okay, in main line Slav. The idea for this c6 actually, black want to play this thing, to what we call to save his pawn on c4. So that's one of the main idea of the Slav lah. So if white do nothing, then black will always play b5 and protect this pawn, and you get the pawn for free lah. So this is Slav main line. Black take on the c4. Okay, in order to prevent this b5 move, white normally play a4. Okay, but this give black time to coming up with the bishop f5, because if let's say black play nothing, black play something move like this, then white will play d4 lah, in order to get the center. Not only this opening will allow this bishop taking this pawn, but also now white have this what we call good center here. Okay, so that's why okay, that's why here the main move is a5, a4, and bishop a4. I close everything. Today is quite hectic lah. I already close something lah. Wait let me close for a while. No. Let me open back. Okay. Okay. So coming back here. So as you can see now, by playing a4, preventing black to play this what we call b5, black have time to go to just in time to put his bishop on the f5, preventing this space gaining by d4 lah. Okay, just in time lah. Just in time, bishop get out and stop white from forming an ideal center with e4 lah. So here is the formation of Slav. So this is basically Slav lah. Basically Slav. So either now white can play an e5, or you can play just modest move like e3 and just taking this bishop. So now black play this and that thing. So this basically Slav lah. So all of the white and black have their own pro and cons lah. White have this easy development. You can just castle and so on. But black, because white already play this what we call this move a4, this square is quite weak lah. So normally the bishop goes here lah. So this bishop, we can say the bishop on outpost. You cannot dislodge this bishop easily by pawn. So that's the balance in the Slav. White got something. White got easy play. Black also get easy play. So this is Slav. The one that Mizan used by playing Safiddin is Semi-Slav. Okay, Semi-Slav is this. When you adopt this triangle setup. Okay, this triangle setup. Okay, you might ask, this is Meran variation, if I'm not mistaken, Meran system in Semi-Slav. It looks strange at the beginning because first, black deny this square for the knight, right? First, black deny this square for the knight. And then now, he deny another square, another diagonal for this bishop from out. So, even though black here have this strong point on d5, but people might wonder why you close this diagonal for the bishop, and also on top of that, this c6 pound square also you deny the square for the knight. So the idea here is that black have a threat. The threat for black is the black threatened to take the c4. So let me take the insert null move. The idea for black is to take this and then to what we call to sort of defend that, and then go here and then go here, and of course in the meantime this move lah, this move here, and then this move here, and so on, and then later on this go break here. At the end, black will play c5. So this is the idea in the Semi-Slav. The c6 pawn here, the one that previously hinder this knight from coming to the c6 is used as a stepping stone to help this what we call the reinforcement for the c pawn there. So that's the thing, what we call that's the reason why Semi-Slav, they don't really care about this bishop going out, because the bishop want to go here anyway in Semi-Slav lah, and also even though white have some easy play in the center, remember black already have 1 pawn free, so that's like a balance there. Okay, so that is the idea of the Semi-Slav. Okay, let's say white play this thing. Okay, this is not the sharpest variation. Black play this. This position and BD7, and BD7, and then white play this, and then take B5. So this the one that I say before lah. Black have time to what we call to harass white piece, and then you can just play this move and then put the rook here, or maybe sometime you just protect this pawn first before you move this pawn to the c5. So that's the idea in the Semi-Slav. That's the idea in Semi-Slav. In Semi-Slav, sometimes you can see quite a sharp. Instead of playing e3, white can play also g5, bishop g5. This is considered as one of the sharpest continuation in Semi-Slav lah. They invite this Botvinnik variation, which is a crazy variation it is. So for example, this thing, and then you take, and then you play e4, and then b5, you want to protect that pawn, and then d5, e5, you want to take the knight, and then black can play this thing. So the knight is not free. So this is what we learned in the first class before, that when you are pinned, when the bishop pin the knight on the f6, even though by e5 move like this, even though by this move, not necessarily this knight is lost. Okay, so the idea can be found here. Okay, This is bottom unit variation of semi-Slav. You go to bishop h4 and then you can just play this thing g5. So the knight is safe for the time being. But here, white can play this, take on g5. This is just theory. This is theory. Take the pawn at g5 and then nb d7. Okay. So this is one of the most thorough played and analyzed variation in chess lah. Sometimes the what we call the line can go up to 30 move, meaning that 30 move of theory. So that's how deep this position have been analyzed. This is one of the deepest analyzed position in modern chess lah. The Botvinnik variation of semi-Slav. Okay. So yeah, and then you can just go take that and then so on. The idea for black is always in semi-Slav is always to put the bishop here, and then later play that what we call the c5 break to break the center of the white, and the variation goes on and on and on. So just to show you, this is still under the theory and so on. So that's the idea of Slav and semi-Slav. So you see, the Slav is basically giving the bishop getting out. Okay, bishop get out. So this is Slav. The semi-Slav is basically you hinder the bishop. You play like this, make this triangle setup, and then planning to what we call to take on this c4. And then try to b4 to reinforce with b5, and then put the bishop on the b7 and b7 bishop whatever, and at the end break on the c5. That's the idea of the Slav. Okay, if you look at this what we call the Mizan game, so this is Mizan and Safiddin game, Safiddin versus Mizan game. So we already cover the semi-Slav position here. So the idea of semi-Slav. So we know that the Mizan, one of the idea for Mizan is to push that. But this bishop is quite offside. There are reasons why this bishop is quite offside. Normally, when you put the bishop here, the plan for black is normally want to push this, to push the pawn to the e5. The problem here, Safiddin use the setup that having the Fianchetto on b2. So this bishop basically prevent the thing. I will discuss this later lah in the next class. So next class still opening. So maybe no endgame this. Maybe, I don't know. Still opening next class. So we learn now that Mizan doesn't take here. And then it doesn't have this, what we call this b4, b5, and in normally that you can find in Slav and so on. So later on in the next class, I will discuss the Reti system, and also the Catalan, and then after that we come back to this what we call this let me open this, and then come back to this what we call this this game Safiddin and Mizan, and see what Safiddin can do better and what Mizan can do better in this game lah. Even though this game is draw, but there are a lot can be learned from here, from both sides. So we will learn the Slav and semi-Slav. We will learn Reti system first. We will learn this Catalan system later on, and then we come back and combine all the idea, because when you got the idea, then we know when you are facing this double Fianchetto bishop, it's very difficult to break if you adopt this configuration. It's much better you play the open Catalan, whatever later on lah. We'll talk about that. So there are configuration that is not fit to play against certain opening. For example, this bishop here, this bishop at DC is quite almost offside lah at this moment. So we will see that later. Okay, so now that's it. I think that's it for today lah. For about this thing, we cannot finish lah, because we will need to discuss this Catalan and then Reti and so on. So looking at this, what we call this, your schedule here. If you look here, now we are at here. Let me put this in this color, this in this color, maroon color, because it's already done. This in maroon color, so it's already done. So this is this we go maroon. Maroon. Why don't reset? Maroon already done. So this today. So by right, next class is endgame, but still opening lah, because this, even though I thought mid the game, still opening lah, still opening. So because we cannot finish that. Opening 3, today is opening 4. Opening 4, opening 4. Even next class will be opening again lah, because we don't have, we need to finish this part. Opening 5, opening 5. Maybe in game just one only, just basic only. I will just to go quick lah for end game, because we need to discuss also end game. So next class is on Friday, 9 to 11. We will continue. Maybe, hopefully, next Friday will be the last about the opening. Even though what you see here, the one that I explained about the opening and so on, what you learned just now is still just very basic in terms of the opening. So that's why during the coaching, I don't like to talk about the opening, because opening is depend on style. You can play this opening, that opening, that opening. So to what we call to explain about opening in the coaching session is quite a daunting task lah. So that's why normally previous coaching I don't go for opening. I just go for end game and so on. Even though I cover some opening, that is still a very basic lah, very superficial lah, very on the tip of the iceberg. The opening is quite big, but at least you get the idea. At least hopefully by this coaching session on the opening this year, you get some idea how to prepare your opening and how to play lah. I try to connect the opening and the middle game a little bit, but mostly it's about opening. And then the last lecture, lecture meaning that I'm talking lah. Later on you will talking during this Monday. The last lecture maybe on endgame. We will finish opening next class, and then maybe just a little bit about endgame only on Sunday. So I think hopefully that's okay for all of you. If some of you found that this is quite what we call quite heavy, believe me, this is not heavy. This is really basic. The name of that's really basic. Is a lot more to learn about the opening. It will be never ending lah if I go. So, but my plan is that I will use your game. For example, the one that I show you just now, the one that Mizan Izati, and then you see there are 3 hybrid of the opening: the Catalan, the Reti, and also the Semi-Slav. And then I will explain each opening in just a brief. Like just now, we learn about the Slav and Semi-Slav. And then we come back later, we see what we can use, how we can use that opening knowledge to explain this game, this Mizan, Izati, Safiddin games, the draw and so on. So I hope that's it for today. Any question? No question. You have question, then you ask in the WhatsApp, because now it's already 11:03, so I don't want to take your time more. So I think that's it for now. I think, yeah. So that's it. We end our session today with recitation of Tasbih Kafarah and Suratul As.